Hey, what's up, everybody? So this is a clip I wanted to share. I took this from. It was originally on the old Stone Cold podcast, Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast on Podcast One, whatever the hell it was called. It's Brian Knobs talking about wrestling the Steiner Brothers, and I love listening to these old guys just talk about old times. So here it is.
First got into WCW, nobody wanted to wrestle the Steiners. Like they were hurting people and throwing them around. They threw them to us and they said, "Hey, you guys are going to wrestle the Steiners." We said, "Great." We loved the way Robbie and Scotty wrestled because it was kind of our style too. And we had the greatest matches with them guys because we didn't care. And you know what? Me or Sag can knock on wood, we never got hurt once wrestling them guys. And they would throw us every which way but loose. And you know what? Even if you didn't want to go, you were going because they were actual wrestlers from Michigan, so they knew what the hell they were doing. So there was every suplex in the world. Me and Sag were getting tossed around like a bunch of beanbags.
You also think about, when I go back to think about Rick Steiner, because I remember first coming across Rick Steiner watching Mid-South and Power Pro. And back then, I mean, he was super jacked. He was he had that lower center of gravity, his shoulders as wide as a barn door, great genetics, shoot wrestler. And that dude was just tough. And then, on the other end of that, then he had Scott, the gigantic jacks. And with all of the maneuverability, the athleticism that guy had with the Frankensteiner, those guys were just unbelievable athletes. And I was always, I always got along great with the Steiners too. And I wrestled both of them on some singles occasions and had really great matches with them. But they were fun to work with, but they were some physical specimens. They wanted to toss you around. You was going to start flying.
Steve, if they wanted to do anything, they were doing it. And you just had to be prepared because there was no stopping any suplex they wanted to do. They would get you in that hole, and you go with it. And even if you didn't want to go with it, you were going with it. You know what I mean? So, but I must say, I don't know. You never got hurt wrestling them, right?
Oh, no, I loved working with them.
Well, the thing was, when we first came to WCW in '90, nobody really wanted to work with them because they were, tossing guys around. And I guess a couple people got hurt. And they threw us in there, and we had to go. That was the match that got us to the WWF, that match, the Halloween Havoc match. They went out and they said, you guys are wrestling the Steiners for the, United States Tag Team Championships. And they built an angle up, and we kind of laid them out on the signing, when we were signing the actual supposedly contract in the middle of the ring. And we were the first ones actually to lay them out. So it got us good heat. And then, bro, we had the greatest match at Halloween Havoc. We went 24 minutes with them guys. Sag got juiced open, and almost like you got juiced open that time wrestling Brett. It was the same thing, the hard way, over the top of the head with a chair, and Sag was bleeding, and we just kept on going, and we went all over the place. And we were getting thrown off the top rope with these suplexes. We were back and forth doing, crazy-ass stuff that wasn't even seen back then. And, after that match, about 2 days later, Hulk Hogan called me because I knew Hulkster at the time. And he says, "Hey, Vince McMahon wants to talk to you." And Vince gave us a call and offered us a job up in the WWF after that Halloween.
All right. I think my internet might have went out, which is why the both videos have stalled. But the Halloween Havoc match was a pretty dope match. This is the match from, I think it's WCW Uncensored. Yeah, it's from Uncensored. That's the one I have on over my shoulder. But anyway, yeah, so nobody wanted to work with the Steiners back in 1990, which is kind of interesting because the Steiners were probably at their peak. They were like the top of their game back then, and probably like some of the biggest stars in the company. And I guess guys were just like, fuck it, we don't want to get hurt. Steiner's are gonna kick our butts. Let's just wrestle some other jabronis and earn our paycheck and not have good matches. And then you heard from Brian Knobs. He's just like, no, we'll go out there, we'll tear the house down. And then that led to them going to WWE and then making a lot of money. They wrestled for a few years at WWE, They won the tag belts. They had some pretty big matches with the Hart Foundation, the Legion of Doom. Um, and then they went back to WCW after their WWE run, probably made even more money the second time around in WCW. Um, Main evented War Games with Dusty and Dustin Rhodes against the Stud Stable, and had a bunch of other memorable moments in WCW. So, also, it doesn't hurt that Jerry Saggs and Dusty Rhodes were brother in laws. But anyway, let me know in the comments below. What do you think about wrestling? Like the tag teams did not want to work with the Steiner brothers back in 1990. To me, that sounds crazy because the Steiners, like I said, they were so huge in 1990. Um, you should be wanting to work with the Steiners because that means you're up on the card. That means you're making more money. But I don't know. Then again, it's like we're talking 1990, like WCW. So maybe people were working guaranteed contracts and they just didn't care. I don't know. I would think you'd want to work in the main events or higher on the card. And if you're working with the Steiners, you're going to be higher on the card. Um, that's just my thoughts. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.